No one saw it coming. What was supposed to be a glamorous night in Moscow, a red carpet, cameras flashing, fans cheering, turned into one of the most explosive moments of Yaman's career. The event was meant to celebrate a luxury brand collaboration, a showcase of elegance and charm. But that night, Moscow wasn't about fashion. It was about tension, jealousy, and one shocking confrontation that left everyone talking. Yaman arrived first, calm, collected, and radiant as always. Dressed in a perfectly tailored black suit, he smiled, waved, and took pictures with fans who had waited for hours in the freezing cold just to catch a glimpse of him. His charisma was magnetic. The crowd chanted his name, holding banners and photos of him and Demet Özdemir, reminders of a past that still haunted him wherever he went. Then, everything changed. Minutes later, his current girlfriend arrived, confident, stunning, and visibly uncomfortable with the crowd's energy. She tried to smile, but the moment she stepped onto the red carpet beside Can, the atmosphere shifted. The cheers turned into murmurs. Some fans began shouting Demet's name. Others booed. At first, Can tried to laugh it off, waving politely, whispering something to calm her down. But the tension was undeniable. Cameras captured every expression, every glance. Then came the breaking point. A fan in the front row held up a poster, a huge photo of Can and Demet together from their old series, with the words, "The real couple forever." That's when it happened. His girlfriend, visibly angry, turned toward the fans and snapped, "Enough with this woman. Respect him." The crowd went silent. And then, chaos. Some fans screamed back, others recorded every second on their phones, while Can froze in disbelief. Security quickly stepped in, trying to calm things down, but it was too late. The video had already spread online within minutes. By midnight, hashtags like #Moscow Showdown and #Yaman Drama were trending worldwide. The scene of his girlfriend yelling at fans became the clip everyone was watching. For the first time, Yaman, the man always in control, always composed, looked lost. And the internet was ruthless. Some defended him, saying he didn't deserve to be caught in the middle of fan obsession. Others sided with the fans, claiming his girlfriend had disrespected the people who made him famous. In just one night, what was supposed to be a celebration turned into a public war, love, fame, and loyalty colliding under Moscow's cold lights. And as the headlines exploded across Europe, one question echoed everywhere: was this the moment Yaman's world finally started to crack? As the night in Moscow spiraled out of control, cameras kept flashing, but the smiles were gone. The tension between Can and his girlfriend was now visible to everyone. What had begun as a misunderstanding between fans and a jealous companion was quickly becoming international gossip. After the incident on the red carpet, organizers rushed the couple inside. The crowd outside was still chanting, some angry, some heartbroken, others simply filming every second. Inside the VIP area, the silence was heavy. Can sat in the corner, his jaw tight, his eyes focused on nothing. His girlfriend tried to explain herself, whispering that she had only been defending him. But he didn't answer. He just nodded slowly, a gesture that said everything without words. According to someone present that night, Can eventually told her quietly, "You don't fight my fans. You respect them, even when they hurt me." Those words cut deep. Because for Can, his fans were not just supporters, they were the reason he stood there. He knew they loved the story of him and Demet. He knew they couldn't simply erase what that love had meant to millions. Within hours, the video was everywhere. Major entertainment outlets in Italy, Spain, and Turkey picked it up. Clips spread across TikTok, each one more dramatic than the last. Some slowed down the footage of his girlfriend shouting, others added captions like "the moment everything broke." The next morning, journalists waited outside Can's hotel, shouting questions. "Can, do you regret coming to Moscow? Is it over with your girlfriend? Did Demet see the video?" He didn't answer. He just walked past, wearing sunglasses, calm but clearly drained. Inside the hotel, things weren't calm at all. Insiders say that the couple argued for hours behind closed doors. She accused him of not defending her. He told her that fame wasn't about control, it was about grace. "You can't yell at the wind," he said. "It always blows back." Meanwhile, Demet Özdemir's name once again became part of the chaos, not because she said anything, but because fans flooded her social media with messages. "Did you see what happened in Moscow? You were always the classier one. This is what happens when love turns into performance." Demet didn't react. She didn't post a single thing. And that silence, that elegant, icy silence, spoke louder than any statement could. For Can, the damage was done. Sponsors began calling, his PR team panicked, and Moscow was no longer just a memory, it was a warning. Because in one night, he had learned that no matter how far he ran, his past, his fame, and his heart were all still chasing him. The days after Moscow felt endless. What had been a single outburst turned into a media storm that refused to die down. Every network, every gossip site, every influencer was talking about it. The Moscow Showdown wasn't just a scandal, it was a symbol of how fast fame could turn against you. For Can, those days were suffocating. He cancelled interviews, postponed appearances, and shut himself away in his hotel suite. His team advised him to stay quiet, let it fade. But he knew silence could only hide pain, not erase it. At night, he sat by the window, staring at the Moscow skyline, replaying the moment in his mind over and over again, the shouting, the flashbulbs, the look in his girlfriend's eyes when she realized what she had done. It wasn't just embarrassment. It was disappointment. Because deep down, he knew the truth, she hadn't just fought with the fans, she had fought with his past. And in doing so, she reminded him of everything he was trying to forget. There was something about Moscow that made memories surface. Maybe it was the cold, maybe the silence, but Can found himself thinking about Demet more than he had in months. Her laughter on set, the way she used to calm him down when things got chaotic, the warmth she carried even when they disagreed. With her, there was no shouting. No ego. Just understanding. He realized how different things had become, how fame had turned his life into a circus, and how he had allowed it. Then came the moment that broke him completely. During an Italian talk show broadcast 2 days later, the host played the clip of the Moscow confrontation and asked bluntly, "Do you think she's the right woman for you?" Can froze. He didn't expect it. There was a long pause before he finally said, "Sometimes, we learn who's right for us when it's already too late." That sentence sent the audience into silence. Within minutes, it was all over the internet. Fans started commenting, "He means Demet." Others said, "He's finally realizing." His girlfriend, watching from Rome, was furious. But Can didn't care anymore. He was tired of pretending, of explaining, of trying to fix what wasn't real. For the first time in months, he called his mother. She told him gently, "You've lost your peace, Can. Maybe it's time to find it again." That night, he turned off his phone and disappeared for 3 days. No social media. No appearances. No statements. The man who had always lived in the spotlight finally stepped into the shadows, not to hide, but to breathe. And as the world kept arguing about him, Yaman started asking himself one question: when did I stop being happy? When Can returned to the public eye, the storm had not passed, but he had changed. He looked different. Not in his appearance, but in his energy. The man who once lived for applause now seemed quieter, more grounded, almost fragile. The Moscow Showdown had humbled him. It stripped away the glamour, the noise, the carefully crafted image, leaving behind only the truth, a man who had lost himself in the chaos of fame. He knew he couldn't undo what had happened. The video would always exist, the headlines would always live online. But what he could control was how he moved forward. His first step was distance. He ended the relationship quietly, without a statement, without a scene. Those close to him said he simply told her, "We live in 2 different worlds. And I don't belong in yours." The breakup shocked the media, but this time, there was no drama, no public fight, no leaked screenshots. Just silence. And that silence became his redemption. He retreated to his family home for a few weeks, far from cameras. He spent time with his mother, cooked, worked out, read scripts. For the first time in years, he lived like a normal person. One night, he found an old photo, him and Demet, behind the scenes, laughing uncontrollably during a break in filming. It wasn't a publicity shot. It was real, two people genuinely happy. He stared at it for a long time, smiled softly, and whispered to himself, "She always understood me." He didn't post it. He didn't call her. He just let that memory live quietly where it belonged, in his heart. Meanwhile, fans noticed the change. His interviews became deeper, his tone softer. When asked about love, he said, "Sometimes, love isn't about who stays. It's about who teaches you who you are." That quote went viral overnight. People said it was a message to Demet. Maybe it was. Maybe it wasn't. But everyone could feel it, the storm inside him had finally calmed. Months later, when Ken returned to Italy for another project, reporters once again brought up Moscow. This time, he simply smiled and said, "Every storm has a purpose. I found mine." The crowd applauded, not the actor, not the celebrity, but the man who had finally learned humility. And though the world may never know the full story of that night in Moscow, one thing became clear: it changed him. Not through scandal, but through awakening. Because sometimes, the greatest turning points don't happen in silence, they happen in chaos. And from that chaos, Yaman was reborn, not as the idol everyone wanted, but as the man he was always meant to be.